Hello and welcome to this edition of Let's Talk About It. My guest today is Valerie Smith. Welcome to the show, Valerie.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now we're talking about health and particularly colon cancer. And Valerie actually has a nonprofit organization
Correct.
that's called
Crusaders for Colon Cancer Incorporated.
Crusaders for Colon Cancer Incorporated. Now, the reason why you started the organization was because you yourself had actually experienced colon
Yes.
cancer.
That's correct. Yes, I did.
Okay, okay. Now tell me a little bit about that experience. How did you first discover that you even had it? Were there symptoms involved?
Well, I went for a well woman's checkup,
Okay,
and I told the doctor that I felt some really bad pain on the left side of my abdomen,
okay,
and he referred me to a GI specialist.
okay.
They did a colonoscopy, and from there, 2 weeks, probably a week, they told me I had stage 3 colon cancer.
Wow, stage 3 colon cancer.
Yes.
Wow.
But
Now-
that was the pain I had was just, I thought I needed to use the restroom or something.
Okay, okay. And now you mentioned a GI. For those that don't know what a GI is, can you tell me that?
Yeah, it's a gastrointestinal doctor, specialist.
Okay, gastrointestinal doctor who is a specialist.
Right.
Okay. So, and you said you actually had a stage 3
Yes.
when it was discovered. Had you seen any symptoms prior to it getting to that point where
No.
you had the pain? Okay.
No, I did not. I didn't realize that that's what it could be. I thought it could be something else
Right.
because sometimes going to the restroom is kind of difficult.
Mm-hmm.
So I just thought maybe, that was the case in this case, and
Right.
it wasn't.
Okay, okay. So now once that was discovered that you had the stage 3, that you were at stage 3, what was the next thing that the doctors had to do after that?
Well, we had a consult about how to rectify the problem.
Okay,
And they decided that I needed to have surgery. And they removed 15 inches of my colon, and I had 6 months of chemotherapy.
wow. They removed 15 inches of the colon.
Right.
Wow. And then you had, after that or before you had the chemo?
I had the surgery first,
The surgery first and then?
then the chemo.
Really?
Yes.
And I always thought that you have the radiation or the chemo prior to having a surgery.
Well, it depends on where the tumor is,
Okay,
what type of cancer it is.
okay.
So there are a lot of things to be considered before they do radiation.
Okay, okay, okay. Now, once that took place in your life, I know you said that when we had a prior conversation, you just felt that that was a calling on your
Yeah.
life to actually help other people who were experiencing the same thing and also prevention. Now, how did you actually get the organization started?
During my treatment, I met people who didn't have money for parking, so they wouldn't come for their treatment.
Mm-hmm.
I also met people who didn't have enough money for lodging, so they didn't come to treatment. And I met people who didn't have insurance and needed to
Okay.
be treated. So I would give people money and talk to them for whatever reasons, trying to help them out.
Mm-hmm.
And one day I was in the parking lot going to church, and I said, God, what is my purpose?
Yeah.
You know what? I know I got this for a reason because I'm the first person in my family who has colon cancer.
Okay, okay.
And the first thing came to my mind was Susan G. Komen. Everybody knows about breast cancer,
Right.
but very few people know about colon cancer. And colon cancer is the number 2 cancer killer. But if you catch it in time by getting screening, you get blood work done, a colonoscopy done, then they can catch it in time and it can be preventable or curable.
Okay, okay. Wow. So that's how you were inspired to start the organization,
Yes,
based on the different situations that people you encountered had,
right.
from not being able to park, not having insurance, not having a place for to actually live, or to have this treatment done. That is amazing. You know what I always say? There's always a purpose to your pain.
Right.
Whatever that pain is in your life, or whatever that trouble is in your life, if you take a moment to look back and figure out, okay, now why am I experiencing this?
Right.
Why am I going through this in this moment in my life? And then you ask yourself, how can I benefit others
Right.
through what I'm experiencing at this point? And obviously, you know what that is.
Yes, but it's not about me. It is not about me. It's about God. Then it's about everybody else. He's just using me to help others, and I love it. I think it's great that so many people are coming together to accept our organization and move forward, and it's a wonderful thing.
Yeah, yeah. You know, it's good that you're able to recognize God in that. And a lot of times when we go through different situations and circumstances in our life, we're like, God, where are you?
Mm-hmm.
You know, or God, why? And so often God is there,
Right,
and He's preparing us for something greater.
right,
And we don't always understand it at the moment that we're experiencing what appears to be the worst thing or the worst news in our lives. But when you can turn that thing around
exactly.
and make a difference in the lives of others, then that's when your pain is a blessing to others through what you've done. I want to ask you, how are you now?
I'm fine. I'm fine right now. I don't have any evidence of colon cancer. I do go for treatment every 3 months, and sometimes my tests are up a little high. My numbers a little high,
Okay.
so they just kind of monitor me.
Yeah.
But I'm good. I always have been.
Okay. Okay. That is fantastic. Now, for those that may not know, when you say your numbers are high or may be high, what numbers are those that we're talking about?
For colon cancer, the average number should be 3.
Okay.
Then that's for non-smokers.
Okay.
So that's blood work. If your number is higher than 3, then they start looking into maybe you have cancer, colon cancer. So my numbers when I first got diagnosed was 23.
Okay.
And of course that's a big
Really
difference.
high, yeah.
That's a big difference. And then after treatment and after the surgery, it went down to like 12. And it just goes up and down and up and down. So that's why they keep monitoring me.
Okay. So actually
three
it's
is-
fluctuating.
Right.
And every 3 months, you say?
Yes.
You go back and they'll do more blood work, and then they'll see where you are.
Yes.
Okay, that's kind of like a follow-up.
Right.
What one would call it, huh?
Right.
Like a follow-up. Okay, okay. So when you discovered that you were at 23, when you first, your number was 23.
Right.
When you first found out about it, did you panic immediately, or where did your mind go when you first? Because that's devastating news, and it's oftentimes hard to handle when you get that type of news. How did you handle that at the onset of finding out about it?
You know, it's really funny because it didn't bother me. Really, it did not.
Really?
It did not bother me because I know that God put certain things in your life
Okay.
so that you can do something, and it's
Yeah.
up to you what you do with it. So when I was diagnosed, all I did was I called my family
Mm-hmm.
and told everybody that I had colon cancer, and they cried and they wanted to know why I didn't cry.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just not like that. I'm a positive person. I always have been, the strong person in the family.
Yeah.
So I handled it fine. My thing was, what we gonna do about it?
Right.
Let's
What's the next step?
do it. Yes, let's do it. So I'm on a mission.
Yeah. That is, you know, and a lot of times the attitude that we have when we get this type of news or this type of thing that seems to be so devastating, the attitude that you have toward it makes a huge difference in how you come through it. We're going to be back in just a moment with more of Let's Talk About It with my wonderful guest, Miss Valerie Gardner-Smith. You guys stick around. We'll be back in just a moment.
Ten years ago, Callie Lewis Watson created 40-plus models. Instead of the typical 17 to 25-year-olds, these models have a degree of maturity.
Hello and welcome back to this edition of Let's Talk About It, where my guest today is Valerie Gardner-Smith.
Right.
Welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Now, we left off talking about, of course, the colon cancer, the organization that you started, and what you experienced as you were going through that. Now, I wanted to ask you, and I'm sure you've gained a lot of knowledge at this point
Yes.
about the disease and the cancer. What are some preventative measures that people can take to try to avoid it or get away from it as best they can? I know that's never a guaranteed thing.
Right.
But what are some of the things that we can do to avoid that?
Well, first of all, you need to have the screening done.
The screening, okay.
Because that will tell you, that's the early detection.
Okay.
And eat right. If you don't eat right, well then it really affects your colon. And things get clogged up, and your blood can't flow the way that it needs to flow.
Okay.
And so cancer will find the weakest cells in your body, and they'll attack those cells. So by eating right and not eating a lot of red meats, eat a lot of vegetables and fiber to make sure you have a constant bowel movement.
Okay.
Well, that's one of the other ways you can prevent it.
Okay. Okay. So from a dietary perspective,
Yes.
you know, it's interesting that you mentioned the colon and things like that, because in talking to a lot of females, I hear it all the time. They have irregular bowel movement. It's just, I hear it like all the time. And it's amazing when I hear that, because as men, I don't think we have that situation as much as women for some reason. But I have a friend that's an herbalist, actually, and I always recommend her products, and it's called Renew Herbs. If you guys haven't heard about Renew Herbs, here in the city of Houston, it's a great product, and the colon cleanser is awesome, you know. But I always recommend that because it's such a good product, because I hear stories just like yours, where they say, I have problems with that type of thing, and you know, that's the first thing I say, hey, why don't you try this?
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
And every woman that tries it, they're like, wow. Thank you for turning me on to that.
What a relief.
Exactly. No pun intended, but what a relief. Exactly. Got to let it go. And that's what happens when they take the product. But oftentimes in having dialogue with her, she's talked to me before about the importance of cleaning your colon and using this type of product. Because a lot of times, like you said, disease can take place in the colon area. And a lot of times the foods that we eat can just kind of sit there.
Right.
And what happens with that, it does weaken our system, and so it's important that we cleanse like that. Now, I wanted to also ask you, what are some of the high-risk groups of people that are more accessible to this type of thing, or to the colon cancer as you see it?
Well, the high risk is African Americans. Yes, that's the highest risk of group of people.
Really?
Yes.
For colon cancer?
For colon cancer.
Okay.
And the age is normally, it says 45 years old. So a lot of people think that it's 50 that you should get checked.
Yeah.
But actually you need to get checked up at least by 45.
Wow. Wow. Now, see, I didn't know that. I didn't know that the African Americans were at a high risk. And you know, unfortunately, we're at a high risk for a lot of
yes, we are.
things, including blood pressure, diabetes.
Right.
So, you know, and I know in our culture, oftentimes we eat a little differently.
We do.
And some of the things that we ingest, you know, certainly might play a part in that.
Right.
Because I know for myself, you know, I'm being honest. I don't always eat the way that I'm supposed to eat.
Right.
And I know that a lot of things that I eat are not for my greater good. But I have to learn to resist that temptation so that I can be around here a little bit longer.
Right.
You know? Now, when we talk about diet or prevention, some of the things that will help, you said, would be vegetables and getting rid of red meat?
Yes. Get rid of as much red meat as you possibly can.
Really?
Because it stays in the body longer. It's harder to digest.
Excuse me.
But vegetables and anything with fiber in it.
Okay.
Any type of vegetable, especially green leafy vegetables.
Okay.
The greener the better. Turkey, fish. Just try to stay away from the red meat as much as possible.
Okay, okay. Now, how has your diet changed since your diagnosis?
Do you want me to tell you the truth or tell you a lie?
Well, you know what? Tell me the truth.
The truth is, I love to eat. So I eat whatever it is that I want to eat.
Okay.
My oncologist, he said to eat whatever I wanted to eat
Okay.
just in case the cancer came back. Then I would have that cushion weight to fall back on.
Okay.
Because if I start losing weight and it comes back, well, then that'll make me sicker faster because I'll lose too much weight.
Really?
Yes. So
That's interesting.
I have a pass.
Okay, you have a pass
Yes.
to just eat like you want to.
Yes.
Interesting. I might need that pass.
No. It's not good for everybody.
It ain't good. Okay. Okay. So I need to know my lane
Right.
and stay in
Right.
my lane.
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay. That is too funny. Now, hey, I want to ask you this. Now, when you have a nonprofit organization like yours, I know there's things that you guys do particularly to actually raise funds for the organization, right?
Right.
So what are some of the things that you guys have done so far?
Well, we had a parade of hats
Okay.
where a lot of the members from Trinity Gardens Church of Christ came out and they modeled their hats, and
Okay.
we had a silent auction for
Okay.
those hats. And A&K Bakery donated some cakes as well for that event.
Yeah.
And 2 cakes sold for $475.
Wow. Oh, we did say it was a fundraiser.
Yes.
Okay.
And we have had, matter of fact, 2 weeks ago, March the 8th, we had a walk,
Okay.
a colon cancer walk in Sylvester Turner Park.
Okay. And
And-
Acres Home, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. I would think about approximately 100, 150 people showed up
Okay.
at
Okay.
6 o'clock in the morning.
Wow, that's a good number too.
Yeah, especially for 6 o'clock in the morning.
Especially for 6. And you know what? I don't know if I would.
Yeah.
But I've been praying for y'all.
Thank you.
It's 6 o'clock in the
That's
morning.
always good.
That's up. There you go. There you go. There you go.
But it was a great turnout. I haven't had that feeling ever in my life, to see so many people come together and support what it is that we're trying to do. I also got to talk about colon cancer to a lot of people who didn't know what a colonoscopy was,
Yeah.
or that you even needed to get one.
Right.
Routine, if you don't see any blood in your stool
Mhm.
or anything like that, or someone in your family has it already,
Okay.
they'll do it at 50 because they say that
Okay.
you're not at risk.
Okay.
So if someone in your family has had it, or again, blood in your stool, then you need to go as soon as that happens.
Yeah. Okay.
But as far as the walk again, I tell you, when you're doing God's work,
Mhm.
everything just falls into place.
Yeah.
You don't have to ask for anything. And I sat there and I was wondering, Lord, where these people come from? I don't know them.
Yeah.
You know, but they are so supportive.
Mhm.
They were just so supportive, and I'm still trying to come down from that.
I can imagine. And you know, in anything we do, we have to have support. We can never do anything by ourselves.
Right.
So it's always a blessing. We have people that, when we have people in our lives that believe in us and that stand behind us and push us to that next place, to help us get there for the greater good of everybody
Right.
that's involved. We're going to be back in just a moment with more of Let's Talk About It. You guys stick around. We'll be back in just a moment.
Ten years ago, Callie Lewis Watson created 40-plus models. Instead of the typical 17 to 25-year-olds, these models have a degree of maturity.
All right, welcome back to this edition of Let's Talk About It, where my guest today is none other than Valerie Smith. Welcome back, Miss Valerie.
Thank you again, Mr. Phelps.
All right. You know what? I'm having a good time talking to you.
Likewise.
I'm enjoying this dialogue. It's always good to have a guest that you can enjoy and have a little fun with. You know, although it's a serious topic, you know, we're able to lighten up a little bit in the process of talking about it. Now, when we left off, we were talking about support.
Right.
And you talked about the big walk that you guys had
Mhm.
in order to raise money for the organization. Now, I know that the screening can be very expensive.
Right.
And for those that don't have insurance,
Well, the goal for us is to be able to pay for 3 people to have a colonoscopy done without insurance. That's $8,000.
wow.
Sometimes you have co-pays of $100. So we'll help to offset that cost.
Mm-hmm.
A friend of mine, he has great insurance, but his copay is $900 for a colonoscopy. So of course he refused to do it.
Yeah, that's.
So that is our goal, is to try to help people get that early detection, since it is curable.
Yeah.
You know, many people support breast cancer, which is fine,
Absolutely.
but they also need to know about colon cancer, since it's curable.
Right, right. And you know what's interesting, because you don't oftentimes hear about women with colon cancer. More often we hear about men with colon cancer. But it's good for women to know that that's a screening that they also need to have done for themselves as well when they do the wellness exam, like what
Right.
you actually experienced yourself, to find out about what you had, you know?
But from my experience, the problem is the category, the men.
Mm-hmm.
Men do not want to get a colonoscopy done.
Yeah.
Women, we don't want to, but we can tolerate pain a little more than men, and
Yeah.
you know, so we'll check out our body a little more often than the men will.
Right, right.
But 150 people are diagnosed with colon cancer. 150,000 people are diagnosed with colon cancer every year, men and women in the U.S.
150,000.
Yes,
Wow. That's an extremely high number.
yes.
150,000. And you know, I think one of the reasons why men shy away from that type of exam is because it seems like a very evasive or invasive type of procedure. But if it's going to save your life and give you more time on earth with your friends, your family, and people that you love, I think you need to put that to the side and forget about the fact that you feel like it's an invasive type of procedure, and take care of yourself.
Right.
So that you can have a long life. Now, you went through the cancer, but prior to that, you had a lot of things that happened with your husband, right?
Yes, I did.
Your husband actually was in an accident and was not able to walk. Was it 2 years?
It was in July of 2010, and he could not walk for 2 years.
Wow.
He's a police officer, and he was escorting the funeral, and the last car in the funeral line ran into him because they were texting on the phone. And the femur, the biggest bone in your thigh,
Wow.
it came completely out of his leg, the right leg. He broke his left ankle, his right shoulder, and just a lot of road rash on the left side of his shoulder.
Yeah.
So, of course, he couldn't walk on it for a while. He had to go to rehab and use a wheelchair, a cane, the whole 9 yards.
Wow.
And then after July that he had his wreck, he was down, of course. There was nothing he could do for himself.
Yeah.
February of 2011 is when I got diagnosed with colon cancer.
Okay.
April of 2011, my brother-in-law passed away. The day that he passed away and they did the repass, my nephew passed away. Then in August,
Wow.
my brother passed away. So it was a lot going on during that time. In fact, the day that I had surgery for colon cancer was my first day in the master's program. And I did it. You know, I did my work the first day. As soon as I came out of surgery, I was doing my work. But I didn't tell a lot of people that at that time I was also officially legally blind from the chemo and the steroids that's in the chemo. They have so many side effects.
Wow.
But I did it. You know, I ran the course because I know it was all about God, and
Yeah.
I didn't really have any dull moments because I knew what my purpose was. I knew it
Okay.
was something.
Okay.
You know, so I was good. I was good.
And you know, it's always good to know what your purpose is.
Yeah.
Because when you don't know what your purpose is, it's easy for you to go off track.
Right.
Or for something to happen or a stumbling block to take place in your life, and next thing you know, wow, what do I do now?
Right.
But when you know what your purpose is, you know that the stumbling block is only a stepping stone
Yes.
to get you to the next place that you need to go to in your life. You know, and I can only imagine what it felt like. Number one, for that to happen to your husband, and number two, months down the road, you're diagnosed
Right.
with colon cancer, and then after that, the deaths that took place in your life
Right.
and the things like that. It you know, it's a testament of how strong humans can be when you can go through certain things and still stand.
Yeah.
You're not in a grave yourself.
Right.
You're standing here, you're sitting here rather, talking to me about your experience. You know, and one of the purposes of the show, Let's Talk About It, is to educate, motivate, and inspire. And I'm certain that people have been inspired by your story today. And I'm certainly sure that they've been educated about colon cancer. You know, I mean, it's wonderful to have guests like you that can be so transparent, because what you say will pierce the hearts of the listeners, and it may also prompt them to go and get tested as well.
Right.
You know, and not only that, but it lets them know that if she made it through this experience, with this happening to her husband, with facing cancer, with the deaths that have taken place in a very short period after all the other things have happened, then guess what? I too can stand.
That's right.
You know?
That's right. You're absolutely right.
And I think that's so important for the viewers to get that type of message. Now, I know that was something that you did, that you were planning on doing, that you, well, your family kind of talked you out of it for a minute, huh?
Right. Yes, they did.
Yes, they did. But it was just a part of living your life.
Right.
As you want to live it. Tell me a little bit about what that was.
Well, before I got diagnosed, I was going to go skydiving for my birthday. My birthday is on Valentine's Day, and that's why my name is Valerie. But a couple of weeks after my birthday was when I got diagnosed. They acted as though I had the plague or something, or if I went skydiving, my leg was going to fall off. I don't know what they were thinking about. It was just cancer. I hadn't started treatment yet.
Okay.
So I let them talk me into not going skydiving that year. But the next year, what I did was, I got up at 6 o'clock in the morning. I didn't tell anybody. I went to the skydiving place, and I skydived.
Really?
Yes, and I sent them a video after it was over.
You say you didn't tell anybody?
No.
You just went on and did the thing?
Yeah. Because I knew they were going to try to talk me out of it again. I really wanted to do it.
Right.
It was like a spiritual thing, you know, because at that point, so many things had happened, you know, and having cancer, you don't always want to just wallow in your sorrow and, you know, things like that. Do something uplifting and laugh about it. I laugh about it. Because actually my slogan for the organization is the tails end. Tails is just a play of words.
Right.
You know, the
colon,
tails.
tail.
Right.
Okay, got you.
And
that's interesting.
Yeah, colon, tail, and colonoscopy.
Right.
Tail.
Right. Okay.
As well as the myths that you hear about getting a colonoscopy.
Okay.
You know, some of the tales. People think that it hurts. It really does not hurt. You are asleep. That's some of the best sleep in the world. The only thing is drinking that solution that makes you go to the restroom.
What you said has made they're making it a lot better than what it once was, right?
Absolutely. It used to be a gallon. Now it's like a pint, half a pint. It's flavored. It's really good. So the worst part is going to the restroom.
Okay.
But then I look on the bright side, hey, I get to lose a few pounds.
Hey, there it is.
You know, I was good with that too. I just recommend that people stay on top of that. I've talked to a couple of people, men in particular, who did not want to have a colonoscopy done.
Yeah.
But because I was so adamant about it, they went ahead and got it done. One man, they found 2 polyps, and they removed them, and he and his mom are forever grateful.
Yeah.
Because they could have turned into cancer.
Right.
Another man, he did not have colon cancer, but they found out that he had prostate cancer.
Wow.
So he's grateful that he went. Not doing anything about it won't make it go away.
Yeah.
It'll just get worse. So, you know, my recommendation is just go ahead, get tested.
Yeah.
And save your life.
Absolutely. You know what? I totally agree. You know, I want to ask you, now, for more information about your organization, how can you be contacted?
I can be contacted at www.3-ccc.org.
Say that again.
www.3-ccc.org or 832-901-9307.
All right, thank you for that information. You know, there may be people in the listening audience that want more information about your organization and also more information about colon cancer. So I'm glad that you get the information. They can reach you there. You guys can certainly reach us at Let's Talk About It 12TV at gmail.com. That's Let's Talk About It 12TV at gmail.com. You can also look at our YouTube channel and that's Ferrell Phelps. Let's Talk About It, and you'll find a lot of our shows listed right there. Thank you guys so much for joining me on this edition of Let's Talk About It, and until next time, we will see you then.